Okay, and we are so live on a Sunday evening. Ah, finally get this whole thing together now.
Okay, and what we're going to kind of do tonight on this
Sorry there.
first one, if we only do one, if we do others, we'll deal with that. We're going to do a top 15 of Elvis if we have time. I
Yeah.
have a top 10 for Everly Brothers and Roy Orbison. That way we can jam them all in real quick.
Yeah, and sadly, I was not able to really contribute it in my top 15 on because I don't really have any albums by either the Everly Brothers, Elvis, or Roy Orbison. It was my discography was mostly made up of mostly Beatles, a couple Who records, a couple Van Halen records, a couple of Stones records there, and that's pretty much about it. So I was kind of like, okay, oh, what the
Well,
fuck here?
actually, you can go to Wikipedia and look at their discographies and go through those
Yeah, yeah,
and
definitely.
at least get the songs. But at any rate, what I thought I'd do is I'd do my top 15 and
Go
Dr. Orwell
comment on it. Yes.
and say something.
And also, there's this one discussion I would want to we have that I don't think we did discuss a little bit, but it definitely needs to be brought out in the open about. And this goes all those kids out there are looking trying to distribute their music. Especially nowadays, we could do it with YouTube, Bandcamp, and all these other streaming services out there. These other music services like Amazon Music, this and that and that and this. But back then it was back then bands like the Stones, the Beatles, and others had to come up with their own record label. And it takes a lot of skill to run that. It's
Right.
basically like they say in the TV show Bar Rescue. It's not just a job. It's not just a task. It's a science. Because you got to know how much to spend, how much to promote, when to promote this, how to market this artist, how to market that artist there, and Apple Records, the Beatles record label, founded in 1968 as a division of their thing called Apple Core Limited. It was supposed to have been a creative outlet for the Fab Four, both as a group and individually, plus a section of other artists that they had signed, like Badfinger, James Taylor, and one of their backup guys, Billy Preston.
Yeah. They actually had some pretty decent artists on that label.
Yeah, including, of course, as I mentioned, Badfinger, who were often christened by people as the second Beatles when you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sadly, and the tragedy of that band was even more outstanding than the Beatles breakup when you think about it, because they had bad management problems, which resulted in two of their main members, Tom Evans and Pete Ham, committing suicide years apart.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna and shout out to Casey as Raw in the chat up here. And Casey, if you want to join in the call, let us know, man. I can add you in, dude. You know,
Yeah. Our main topic for tonight are the things that I just was discussing just a second ago. Some top lists, because I figured that's one way for us to basically kind of let people know, basically a few things about some of these artists they may not know, some of the songs, and basically that is what I was looking to do with this.
yes,
Uh, on the Elvis list, I've got what I'd consider, and again, these are personal favorites. It's not an all inclusive, these are the best songs or anything of that nature. And I would suggest that if anyone has differences or has their own list or whatever, put it in the comments. I'd be interested to see it.
yeah,
I may have missed a song. It's very possible. Or I might not have something as high rated as you would have it, which is fine. Everybody has an opinion. In fact, when I read this, Dr. Earl may go, whoa, no, not that song. Or he may say, no, it's higher or lower or whatever. That's fine. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But on my top 15, my number 15 is Crying in the Chapel. I like that. Good song. My number 14 is In the Ghetto. Another
Yeah,
pretty
by
good
the
song.
way, now interesting that you should bring up that subject there because I know a lot of black rights activists, came down hard on that song there. And do you feel it was discriminated towards blacks because of the description that they were in the song there?
Uh, I think what he was trying to do was point out a problem. I don't think he was trying to.
Inner city violence.
Right, and I think he was trying to point out a problem that needed to be addressed. And that was kind of the way I looked at it, I suppose. But then again, we don't have any kind of idea about that whole situation because we haven't lived it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, we grew up in Detroit, but as we was way young kids before mom and dad moved us all to Roseville, and we just and we all kept hearing about all the crimes being committed in the downtown Detroit area. We hear about and this was years before the carjacking craze would start going there. We'd hear about robberies, holdups, shoot-ups
Right,
here and there,
right.
between gang members and people who would just felt the need to whip out a pistol instead of whipping out words out of their mouth here. And it's just, it's just at the same time that this shit still goes on today, believe it or not, in inner
Yeah,
cities, whether it's Chicago, Houston, or Los Angeles, or somewhere parts of Boston, believe it or not. But this
yeah, and I really think that, like I say, I think Elvis was trying to address a problem and go with that.
and some people out there may not be understandable of it because they're only looking at with their PC eyes.
Yeah, and I mean, it may not have been how they wanted it addressed, but at least he was making an effort.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you got to give Elvis credit for that, or whoever wrote the song, believe it or not, because
Yeah,
that's like I said, that's that shit that he was talking about. The shoot ups, the robberies, still go on today.
yeah,
Sad to say, and it's sad, but unfortunately, we have yet to even to see some real effort being put into to getting this problem licked.
no, no, it just continues,
Yeah.
and
And
it's
as long as shit like that continues in these areas, songs like in the ghetto or other songs pertaining to that subject will continue to pop up.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Okay, my number 13 is It's Now or Never.
Yeah. I think John Schneider, for the guy who started the Dukes of Hazzard, I think he covered that song around the early 1980s, I believe, if I remember there.
I believe you're correct on that one.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the album cover at an old record store while living in Roseville a couple of times there, and I know it was played on the radio. And I guess it was on the country music charts for a while there.
Yeah, yeah. My number 12 is Always on My Mind, which is definitely a country song. Uh, Willie Nelson, I believe, wrote it.
Oh yeah, and later the Pet Shop Boys did their dance club version of that.
Oh, that must have been interesting.
I know it was. I couldn't even stand that version myself. But Willie Nelson, he took it up to a more emotional notch when you really listen to it there.
And Elvis did a good job on his cover because
Yeah,
his was the cover.
he did. Yeah. Who originally performed it before Elvis? Was it
Well, I guess it's Willie Nelson.
Oh wow, because but the Willie Nelson version I remember was a big hit around the 1980s, early 1980s.
I don't know if that was a re-release or his original version or what it was.
Because that's what I remember. That was back around, I guess, 1981 or 82 or somewhere around that period there. But that was a big hit. You know.
Yeah, maybe somebody can enlighten us on that one.
Tell you what, let me look it up
Again,
here.
again, the comments. That's what you guys can do. Let us know in the comments.
All right. Okay, here always I'm looking up here. A song by Willie Nelson. You know, and it's a ballad song written by Wade Carson, Johnny Christopher, and Mark James. It's been a
Huh.
crossover hit, you know, and let's see here, in many Western, country, and pop categories. You know, all music lists over 300 recorded versions of this song by dozens of performers, including Brenda Lee in 1972, Elvis Presley that same year, John Wesley Reichs in 79, Willie Nelson's version in 1982, which won a Grammy, and of course the Pet Shop Boys in 1987.
Yeah, it's funny because I always believed that Willie Nelson wrote that song, so I've been corrected.
Yeah, interesting
Good
here.
song, though.
Yeah, it is. Came out in 1972. Elvis's version did, and
Yeah.
it received an immense fame and critical acceptance, and is considered one of Presley's most standout songs from the 1970s. Next to actually was a B-side to his single "Separate Ways," and it was certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America for
Hmm.
sales in excess of 1 million units. It was also listed as a double A side, reaching number 16 on the Billboard's Hot Country Singles in November of that year, 72. And in the UK, it was a hit song, while Separate Ways was the B side, vice versa.
Yeah, I was going to say that Separate Ways I really don't remember well, but I always on my mind I do remember.
Oh, yeah,
Weird how
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
works.
Yep.
Yeah. My number 11, I got I Just Can't Help Believing.
I think I heard that one there.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. Well, this is another reason I'm doing this because it kind of gives you a list to look at.
Hey there, Minnesota Vikings fan. What's up, dog? He's in the chat here. I had to say hi to him there.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
My number 10, I've got Heartbreak Hotel.
Oh,
Eh,
yeah,
some
we know.
people
No.
some people might think that's a little low, but that's where I got it.
Oh, yeah, but then again, you know, it is one of the outstanding tunes that Elvis Presley did many in his career there. Next to
Yeah,
Jailhouse Rock.
yeah. And Jailhouse Rock, I'm going to surprise you, didn't even make my top 15, but I like the song.
That's true, yeah. We got to also give up to Motley Crue because they covered their version on the Girls, Girls, Girls album there back in 1987 as well. I only heard it one time. I was like, wow, this is interesting there. It's a live
Yeah,
version, by the way.
mm. Yeah. There's a few people that do that kind of thing.
Yep.
My number 9, I've got Are You Lonesome Tonight. Kind of in Elvis's case, I kind of lean toward those kind of songs with him.
The ballads.
Yeah, sort of, not always, but
Hmm.
depends on the song, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, the way it was performed, the arrangements, and along with Elvis's voice, often makes it more unique in terms of how the song is performed there.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. That
Yeah.
has a very much to do with it. Number 8, I got Return to Sender. Don't
Oh,
know,
yeah.
there's something about that song I really like.
Hmm.
It's a decent song.
Wow. Interesting.
My number 7, I got his latest Flame, which I like that song a lot too. Well,
Hmm.
obviously, it's on my top 7.
Nice.
Number 6, I have Don't Be Cruel, which in a lot of cases I call it the chicken song because, as he sings it, the backup singer's going, buck, buck, or whatever.
Bop,
And
bop, bop, bop.
sounds like chickens.
Bop, 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 bop. Don't be, I love you. Bop, 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 bop. That kind of stuff there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what'd you think of the Cheap Trick version of that song?
I like the way they did it. They did it
I
decently.
I I agreed as well. I think Billy Joel did his cover for an Elvis tribute a couple years back, if I remember there. And
Yeah,
again,
there's a lot of tribute albums floating around for various groups that some of the songs are actually quite good.
yeah, interesting there. But of course, when you're going to do a cover of a song there, keep in mind, keep it towards the original, but add a little bit of yourself into it as well. That's what I remember. I guess this one actor, what's his name, Michael Damian, did with that song "Rock On," the David XX tune from somewhere in
Oh
the
yeah,
'80s. There, I remember he was talking about that in a paper there interview.
yeah. And like we said before, some cover songs make are horrible compared to the original.
Oh
And the one
gosh.
that comes to mind for me is was it Lincoln Park that did Behind Blue Eyes? Was it
No, it
them?
was Limp Bizkit.
Limp Biscuit, that's it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about that, and gosh,
Oh,
so
that's horrible.
oh my, I just who? Let me ask everybody listening, who didn't want to smack the shit out of Fred Durst and his boys for fucking that song up?
It was definitely bad.
It was horrible. It was cheesy. It was retarded. I mean, they took out one of the big elements, the bridge of the song. What the fuck happened to when my fist clenches, crack it open before I use it, lose my cool? What the fuck, dudes?
Yeah, that was just bad.
It was bad. It was fucking horrific.
Oh yeah. And my number 5 is Burning Love.
Oh yeah, I remember a video of that Elvis doing that song there live. I guess a performance there. He was doing all his usual moves here and there.
Right.
Yep.
But like I say, as I go through this list, some of you are going to go,
Huh?
"What's wrong with you?" Well, no, these are my favorites. Number 4, I got "Can't Help Falling in Love."
Oh yeah, which of course both Corey Hart, a well-known Canadian singer, covered on one of his albums, and of course the reggae group UB40 did for that movie Sliver
Yep.
that started Sharon Stone. I guess that's somewhere in around the next following decade, the 1990s. There.
My number 3, there's another group that does a cover of this song that is absolutely fantastic. Do you know where I'm going?
No, you gotta give me a clue there, man.
Viva Las Vegas.
Oh my gosh, and I know which band you're referring to. Yep, that little old band from Texas.
I like the Elvis version, obviously, but the other version
The ZZ
by
Top version,
ZZ
yes, I
Top
did. I like that as
is
well. It had a lot more
excellent.
grit to it. Yes, definitely had a lot more grit to it in its path there.
Yeah. Then number 2, I got Love Me Tender.
Oh yeah,
Great song.
oh yeah, one of his all-time ballads there.
And my number 1 is Suspicious Minds.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's got to be one of the most top. That's I remember that song was used in a couple movies there. I remember the Fine Young Cannibals, that pop group from England who did that "She Drives Me
Right.
Crazy" song there, which I couldn't stand. They did their version for some movie, which name I forgot. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, but that's probably one of his most notable songs that still often gets played on oldies radio stations. I know there was this one back in Michigan, the southeast Michigan area, who did that, played that song a lot of times there during the
It's
daytime and nighttime.
it's a great song, and I'm kind of hoping that my list spurs people to go out, hey, you know what? I got to listen to these songs. Because like I said, I'd love to see other people put down their list in your comments or my comments. Doesn't really matter.
Yes, absolutely. Anybody has a top 10, top 5, top 15 lists or of their favorite songs and artists, feel free to put them in the comments section on both Arky's channel and my channel as well. Feel free to, man.
And give us ideas for future, because this is going to be a part of when we talk about a group, is we're also going to go over a top whatever list for the group. All we're doing now is catching up on people we've already talked about.
Yes,
And when we get done with that, we'll put it in as part of the show.
absolutely. Because, and You know, sorry
I
about
think
that.
it kind of adds something. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
What the list?
I think the list kind of give us, well, it gives people something to look to listen for, and go, oh, well, yeah, I remember that song. And they can make their own little lists.
Absolutely, there.
Because, like I said, I'd be real interested to see
We
what it is
we
that.
welcome audience participation. You know, we invite
Absolutely.
people. We do invite people to call up. You know, and to give their takes on this subject or that subject that we are pertaining to there.
And we'll kind of announce ahead of time what we're going to do so that people can prepare if they need to, or they can call in cold.
Absolutely,
Doesn't
there.
really matter. Because, like I said, I'd be real interested. It's no big deal.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
All
I
right,
got a top 10 list of the Everly Brothers.
nice.
And let's see, we'll start number 10 is Devoted to You. Nice little song. Definite ballad, but it's a nice little song.
It is. Yep.
Number 9, I've got Till I Kissed You. Number 8, I got Bird Dog.
Bird dog.
Yep.
Bird
They
and
did.
dog together there.
Well, no, it's a type of dog.
Oh, a dog that looks like a bird.
No, they hunt birds.
The hunt. Oh, I see now. One of those dogs that hunt down when you go duck shooting. They
Right.
go out and go get the ducks for you. I see now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that's a cool little song, actually.
Well, I didn't know they were called bird dogs for that matter. I thought they were just like hunting dogs there.
Yeah. It's a neat little song. You got to look it up.
Ah, nice. Interesting there.
Number 7, I got Let It Be Me, which was covered by several people.
Wow.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of any of them, obviously. Number 6, I think you've heard this song before.
Yes.
Love Hurts.
Oh yeah, we know this song like the back of our hand. That song's been covered, done by the Everly Brothers. Yeah, Roy Orbison did his version. Of course, Cher
Actually, I
did
think
her.
he broke it. I think he wrote it.
No,
Roy
Roy
Orbison.
Orbison. No, I don't think he. I think let me look it up there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because
Love
I'm
it.
not sure.
So many people have recorded that, done that song so many times. I mean, the one we all know, of course, is
Nazareth,
the Nazareth version. Absolutely, there. I
which I
mean,
really like that.
which is considered one of the top ballads. You know, it was written by Boudleaux. Let me spell his name. Boudleaux.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm
Never
talking
heard of
about.
him, but
I've never heard of that. You know, that's the guy's first name, but his last name is Bryant. Bull X Bryant. You know, I can't now. This is one of the things that pisses me off because they're trying to look up you cannot pronounce certain names there. It was first recorded by the Everly Brothers back in 1960. It was also recorded. Actually, it's also recorded by, of course, Roy Orbison. It
right,
also was a big hit for Jim Capaldi, the former drummer of Steve Winwood's old band, Traffic, that same year, 1975, the same year that Nazareth did their version.
right.
I mean, we also said, let's see here, there was a recording by Emmylou Harris and Graham Parsons from the Byrds. It was released on his album, Grievous Angel, that came out after his death in 1973. And she made
Yeah,
that song a staple of her repertoire. And it's included in her concert set list as well from the 70s to the 19 to present, by the way. Jennifer Warnes, who would then remember did that song, Heart of the Night, and
yeah,
also that duet with Joe Cocker years later. She released
right.
a version on her self-titled album in 1976. And of course, Cher did her version on one of her albums. I guess it was called what was it called? Heart of Stone, if I remember.
Yeah, I think so.
And he
Well,
recorded.
suffice to say, this is a good song.
Yeah, no, it's for the. Oh yeah, it was. No, I corrected. It was the album with the same name in 1991. Sheba Joan Jett and the Blackhearts did their version for a covers album called The Hit List. Rod Stewart did it for his album, still the same, great rock classics of all time. And of course, the bluegrass version of that song, believe it or not, was appeared in the super duper cut of the Deadpool 2 soundtrack and the
Huh.
Once Upon a Deadpool DVD.
Wow.
And it was also recorded by the Osborne brothers for their 77 release, titled From Rocky Top to Muddy Bottom. And of course, jazz guitarist Julian Lang performs his version on the 19. Next, what am I talking about? The 2019 album of the exact same name.
Wow.
Wow, it's been recorded many times. So the guy who wrote it, Mr. Brian, because I have to refer him to as I mentioned, I cannot pronounce his first name with a shit. But
He had to get a few royalties.
oh, he probably got more than a lot of royalties. That's if he had got the song copyrighted in his name, because a lot of times, as we can see with
Right.
certain songs, these songs, often go. The publishing company owns most of the rights of these songs there, and even though the person who wrote them, do get a good percentage, but the bulk of the money goes to the publishing company. Believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
and here, and of course, the Nazareth version became so successful in the country of Norway that it charted for 61 weeks in the Norwegian charts.
wow.
Wow.
My number 5, I got Kathy's Clown.
Oh yeah, we remember hearing that one there many times. Probably
Yep.
one of those songs that does everything that his girlfriend wants him to do, like eat these mud pies. Go sure, my love, I'll eat you. Nom 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 nom. One of those
Yeah.
guys. Yep. I know. Kiss
Number
that
4,
tree. I will love you. I love you, baby. Mwah. One of those
Anything
kind of
You Want.
guys. Yep.
Yeah.
Anything you want. Yep, 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 yep. We saw how many times we've seen that before.
Yeah. Number 4, I got Wake Up Little Susie.
Oh yeah, that. Remember the Simon Garfunkel version?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember Simon Garfunkel released a live album called The Concert at Central Park in around 1981. Massive hit. They recorded that version along with it, and it became a top 10 single for those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 3, I got Walk Right Back, which I believe Anne Murray covered it.
Mm, really?
I
Whatever
think so.
happened? Yeah, whatever happened to Anne Murray?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe, hopefully, she's home in Canada. I
Um,
think she's Canadian.
she is Canadian, yes. I know. I think she's probably still performing, but we haven't. She has not released an album in ages. I mean, she released a couple of good songs there. Not. I'm not. I was never big on Anne Murray there. Believe it or not, but but she was one of those soft rock artists there.
Yeah, I
I
like
think.
some of her stuff. She's kind of a one that she's not a dial turner.
Yeah.
If she comes on, I'm not going to sit over there and run for the dial and go, "Whoa, got to turn it."
I am. But you
I'm
know
just
what?
going to go,
But she did a
okay.
good version of one Beatles song. I think it was "You Won't See Me." I think it was that she covered there.
It could be.
Yeah.
And she also did a cover of a Monkees song, "Daydream Believer."
Oh yeah. Obviously. I think I remember
Uh,
hearing that as well. I just don't remember when. Dang gummit.
well, we'll kind of cover Anne Murray when we get there.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a few of those kind of artists that we got to cover them because they're not horrible. They're just different.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have guilty pleasures. I've mentioned more than once.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond's my guilty pleasure.
Well,
I like me some Neil Diamond.
you know who's my guilty pleasure? Luther
Who's that?
Vandross.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
not so guilty.
Not really. Well, you got to for a guy who listens to heavy metal and industrial music like myself. Being
Well,
me
okay.
listening to a Luther Vandross song from ages ago, it's kind of would seem like awkward in some ways. But you can't really help it because bottom line, Luther knew how to fucking deliver.
Yeah,
He
and I gotta say with Neil Diamond, I'm more in tune with his early to mid stuff. The later stuff when he got into Jonathan Livingston Seagull and all that, I don't really care so much for that.
Ah,
But I do like a lot of his early and mid stuff. It's actually pretty good.
nice.
But we'll get to meet Neil Diamond.
Absolutely, yeah.
He'll
In the
get his
future
time.
there. Yes.
My number 2, I got Bye Bye Love.
And we know that song pretty well there.
Yep, yep. My number 1 might surprise you.
Yes.
All I Have to Do Is Dream.
Yeah, which, by the way, I
really
remember,
like that song.
you know what? Interesting that you mentioned that. You remember a program called The Cutting Edge that IRS Records used to be behind? It was a program that used to run on the old MTV on Sunday nights occasionally at times. And one of the features was REM when Michael Stipe still had his long hair and shit.
Right.
They did their version of that song.
Actually, the cover band I was in, we did that song.
Nice. Nice as well. I should probably look up that version of that REM did sometime after we get done with this show here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
but
thing I liked about the Everly Brothers, too, is I really like good vocal harmony, and they had good vocal
they
harmony.
did. Yes, absolutely.
And a lot of the groups that I kind of really like to listen to, good vocal harmony.
Yep.
But again, it's not always that way, because sometimes if a singer has a fairly strong voice or a distinctive voice or something along those lines, I'm okay with that. It's whatever I feel like at the moment, I suppose.
Yeah.
And the last guy we're going to talk about today on this part
Mhm.
is Roy Orbison.
Yeah. What do you read one of the traveling Woolberries there? And of course,
Well, I don't have any of those in there.
I know, I understand there, but he's best remembered for his also that song "You Got It," which Jeff Lynne from ELO recorded there. And it was sad that that's Roy Orbison sadly, as you know, passed away. What was it, 1989? I guess it was.
I believe so.
And that song, after his passing, that song became a massive hit when that record "Mystery Girl" came out.
Oh, that song's on my list, by the way.
Nice.
My number 10 by him was Leah. I like that song and the way he does it. It's a nice song.
Kind of I'm thinking that if I wonder if Joe Cronin played that song for his wife Leah when he first met.
Oh, he knows that song. Well,
Right.
because I asked him about it once.
Nice. Yeah. I'm wondering that's how she got her name. Her parents probably named her the name from that song.
That very well could be.
That happens a lot of times. You hear a good song and then it sticks in your head. And when you have your first kid, whether it's a son or a daughter, you give your name give your kid that particular name.
Yeah.
But
My number. Oh, go ahead.
one more thing I want to ask pertaining about giving kids names. And also, when you do say give your child a good name, make sure you're not loopy on the drugs because I could never imagine anybody naming their kids Moxie Crime Fighter while being straight.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what Penn Joliet named his kid there. He had to be high. He had to be high on something, no matter what, when he did that.
Well, look at Frank Zappa's kid's name.
I know, Moon Unit, Emmett, Dweezil. Damn,
But
that's.
But he wasn't on anything. That's just something he did.
Yeah, I know. Well, then again, Frank Zappa was always the opposite of what the mainstream was going for. When you think about it, when everybody is going for the most typical names, the typical titles, Zappa was known to go against that.
Oh, yeah.
For instance, my name, Earl. I mean, it was my parents named me that because it sounded different. It was more unique rather than the typical Tom, Dick, or Harry, or Dave, or Jonathan, or that kind of jazz there.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, my real name's Common.
Nice.
Because obviously, Arknolia's not my real name, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of like the same name as the rapper, an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting there.
Okay, number 9, I got Candyman, which is a song you did way back.
Wow.
It's a minor hit, but it's a good song. And then number 8 is Right Away.
Right away?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Ride.
Right away. I see now. Yeah, I get it now.
R-I-D-E. Another good song. Number 7 was covered by Linda Ronstadt, Blue Bayou.
Oh, yeah. We know that song. I remember hearing Ron Stant's version, and I remember hearing the Orbison version.
Yep. Good song. And one of the cover bands I was in, we did that one. Number 6, I got, pardon me if I've mentioned this before, Love Hurts.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. We all know that. Like I said, that song's been covered countless of times.
And a lot of people are going to think this one's low, but my number 5 is Oh Pretty Woman.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a great song. Well, if it's on my list, it's a great song.
But then again, of course, we all know it's probably one of the most covered still rock, one of his best known songs there, when you think about it.
Yeah. And then number 4 I got is Dream Baby.
Dream Baby. I don't think I'm aware of that song there that much.
It's the one about sweet dreams, baby.
Oh, yeah, I
Dreams,
see.
baby.
Yeah. Ah, I see.
You'll know it when you hear it.
Okay.
Number 3 is Only the Lonely.
Oh, yeah, I remember we heard that. I remember hearing that song a long time ago, yeah. And wasn't that the song featured in the movie? No, it wasn't. That was Blue Velvet. I was thinking of the movie Blue Velvet, where the guy is dressed. I guess is got this get up on wearing this get up here. He's singing a Roy Orbison ballad there. I thought it was possibly that, but I think it may have been the song Blue Velvet. Did he record a song called Blue Velvet?
Well, not him, but Bobby Vinton did.
Okay, so my mind is whack. You got to remember that movie came out. I guess it was in '86.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. So my memory kind of like is not that up to par when it comes to that.
Yeah. And number 2, I've got. This is a song that was covered by Don McLean and several other people. Crying.
Oh, yeah.
Nice little ballad.
Oh, yeah. And of course, Orbison redid that song with K.D. Lang. I guess it's for some movie. I think it was a David Lynch movie, Wild at Heart, if I'm correct.
I think that was correct.
Yeah.
But that is actually a real killer song. I like that song.
I remember hearing that, the Don McLean version on the Casey Kase's top 40 radio show there.
Yeah. The vocal range, well, it's displayed in that song pretty good. He's got a great vocal range.
He does, yeah. So we got to give him credit for that. We just know him for the guitar and the shades, black hair and black clothing there.
Right.
But he does. But then again, he's got to give it up for his vocal abilities there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's an example of a singer that I like because of him and not the vocal harmony thing, because he doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
Except when he was in the Wilburys.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
even then, I don't think he did.
That much vocal harmony there.
Yeah. Not really.
Yeah.
And then the number 1, gee, I wonder what that could be.
Mm-hmm.
How about You Got It?
Oh, yeah. No surprise up there, because that, as I mentioned, that song became a massive hit after his passing in '89 there.
That is absolutely a phenomenal song.
It is, Sadly, Bonnie Raitt had to do her so-called version of it for some chick flick, I guess, in the 1990s there, which I heard at one time. I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, like I say, there's some covers that you go, no.
I can name another horrendous one. Sheryl Crow doing "Sweet Child of Mine."
Yeah.
That almost made me barf.
Yeah, there's some people that if they're going to do a cover, like we've said, be close to the original, but add a little bit to it. I mean, there's many examples of how that gets done. Nazareth Love Hurts.
Yeah.
It's close to the original, and you can hear the original in it, but then you've got the distinctive vocals of the Nazareth guy.
Yeah. That's true. Yes, that's true as well. You gotta, you, if you're gonna do a cover version, at least go for something like the original, or go for something different that's gonna give it a new life.
Yeah. Okay, now what I'm thinking, because we're about done with this one, is let's do another one, top
Yeah.
10 list, and close out the 50s and 60s. Well, not 60s, but early 60s.
Yeah.
And I got a top 10 list of Ricky Nelson, Chuck Berry,
Yes.
Buddy Holly, and
Nice.
believe it or not, Buck Owens.
Oh yeah. And he was
And I'm,
the co-host of Hee Haw for many years. I remember.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
he and Roy Clark were, I think, the only two that
Yeah,
ever
they
did.
were done. Yeah, absolutely. And plus, both are no longer with us, as you know.
Right. Of
Yeah,
course, we watched Hee Haw for the Hee Haw girls.
I did. I only watched it for the kind of
Uh,
humor, the funny
right.
stuff here and there, and plus some of the artists at that time. I know it was on syndication for many years on the TV stations back where we lived there.
It's kind of funny. It's considered basically a country show,
Yeah,
but it should have appealed to a lot of people because well, like you said, there was the humor. There was some of the acts that were there. Because say what you will, you hear people, I hate country music. Well, actually, there's some pretty good stuff in country music. It's not all trash.
yeah. But the problem, well, the issue, if I mentioned one time this to somebody, when I was living in Richmond, Michigan, which because Richmond is basically a hick town when you look at it there. It was
Right.
it was a small town. It's mostly country stuff like Toby Keith, Garth Brooks, and all that
Right.
jazz. But if I'm saying, I was saying, well, why don't you listen to country music instead of heavy metal? Well, I'm like, why don't you listen to Leonard Skinner? Why don't you listen to, well, first of all, if I'm going to listen to country artists, it's going to be
Yeah,
the
it's funny
old
because,
school. Yeah, go ahead.
well, it's kind of funny because a lot of people either like country music and nothing else, or they like other things and hate country music. I'm one of those rare individuals that I like things about all kinds of music.
Yeah. A lot of different genres,
Yeah, there's only a few genres that I don't really get into, or if I do, it's not very deep. Rap would be one of them.
or reggae music.
Yeah, I'm okay with some of it, but there's a lot of it there that just doesn't appeal to me.
No.
And I'm not going to say it's bad or anything like that. It just simply doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't reach me, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Doesn't float your boat, needless to say. There.
Yeah, yeah,
My problem with my issue with the country music thing there was that when I was telling the story here, when I lived in when I lived in Richmond, the attitude was like either country music or nothing else. Like for instance,
exactly.
there was this bar and grill that I often went to at times on the weekends. I would put on some rock and roll, like say a couple of this song or that, and the owner up there, who was a total prick, banned me from using the jukebox because he said your music sucks, and his belief was either country music or nothing else. He would cut off my music because this is one of those touch tunes jukeboxes there where it's computer animated there. You just press the screen there and here and there and there and here. And a couple of friends of mine who had played some sort of you remember that song Three Little Pigs by Green Jelly from '93?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, he was playing that, and all of a sudden, this prick ass owner just cut it off right in the middle of it because he wanted to put on country music there. And there was this other woman, her name, forgot her name, but I still I do remember her name. I just don't want to give it out and dox her
Well,
name out
right,
there.
I understand that.
She was she was like, it's the same way. Like, I was like, can we put on some rock and roll on the radio there? And she's like, what do we listen to here? What? We listen to country and nothing else.
Yeah,
And
see, that's the attitude that I don't like.
that was basically the attitude of Richmond. It was either
Yeah,
if you're a different, if you're not what they want you to be, they hate you.
yeah, and that's just, I guess, for lack of a better term, highly intolerant.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons why I'm glad I moved out of that area there.
Yeah, I can't blame you for that one.
Yeah, it's just like like I want to live in an area that is more accepting and more diverse.
Yeah, hey, you can have your country music. I just,
It's not my
eh,
thing, but respect other people's requests. To listen to something else.
yeah, and actually, like I said, I like some of it. There is country music I do like.
And I was telling this one guy, and I was mentioning, if I'm going to listen to country music, it's going to be the old school country music, whether it's Loretta
Yeah,
Lynn and like a Johnny Cash. Especially, I can listen to Johnny Cash all damn day there.
Patsy Cline.
Betsy Cline, yeah, because the songs they had was downright gritty, like the singers looked at that time.
Right,
I know.
right. But I guess we're done with this portion. If you want, we can shut down for a little while,
Yep.
change our stuff, and
Yep.
come back and we'll do this next bunch. Then after that, we'll get back to a list. Well, we'll start on a list that you're going to be able to come up with a list on. In other words, we're going to start with the Beatles.
Yeah.
Although you mentioned Johnny Cash, and I didn't think of Johnny Cash, and I'd like to do. Well, we can insert him later
Yeah.
because we both know him.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and shut down this.
Put this
Wait a
aside.
few minutes,
Yeah.
and we'll start up another one.
Another top 10 list there.
Yeah, and I'll cover these, and we'll get done with that and go on to the Beatles.
All right. Because I know they're supposed to do a Beatles night here, and I wanted to discuss, the debauchery that was known as Apple Records, which I
Yeah,
say, helped participate in the breakup of the Beatles.
had a lot to do with it, I'm sure.
And pretty much, it's all there because everybody's always pointing the finger at Yoko for this, Yoko for that. Yoko had nothing to do with it. Yeah, we agree her being there didn't make things better, but
Right.
but sadly, she got most of the blame for what happened to that group there.
And actually, Paul had a lot to do with the problems there.
Yeah, I remember he was trying to take over the. He was, from what I understand, he was trying to lead the group there, from what I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
But
of course, at the same time, John Lennon was emerging as his own individual there, and he was
right,
doing a lot of crazy stuff. The press conference inside of a bag or something like that. Him and Yoko were doing, and
right,
of course, we
right,
cannot forget the Two Virgins album that him and Yoko posed in the buff front cover and back,
right.
which really pissed off some of Paul McCartney. Believe it or not, I remember hearing about.
Not surprised.
Yeah. And of course, and Apple Records, was, do you think we should talk about Apple Records right now, or you want to wait to the Beatles night?
Let's wait for the Beatles night.
Correct there. All right. All right there. All right. So I'm thinking, it's
It's a little late to start a second half, or do you want to do this some other time?
we could probably do it at some other time, but I got to check my schedule at work, when we could do continue this here because my work hours at my job fluctuate from time to time. I could start in the morning, I could start at 12 noon, such and such here. I got to figure out what time. When do I have my next day off so we could do our continuation here?
Or at least get off when we can do it at 6.
Well, I'm thinking possibly we could probably do it this coming Friday, the 25th. because I'm off on that day here.
Ooh, that's Christmas Day. Well,
Oh,
I don't have a
really?
problem
Oh,
with that.
really? Holy shit! I forgot. I didn't realize that. Well, let's see here. Well, I'm off on. Well, I work in the morning on Thursday, but that'll be Christmas Eve. So I'm thinking, and
Yeah.
I get off at 4 p.m. So we could probably do a short, probably a somewhat of some of the
Well,
continuation of your lists on that particular evening.
yeah, we could do that because this won't take real long.
Yeah,
I don't think so anyway.
you know. No, because it's Christmas Eve. I remember. Yeah. Let's see. Well, I'm thinking. Well, the 30th Wednesday. That's New Year's Eve.
Oh no, that's the day before New Year's Eve.
That's true. Yeah, because that'll be New Year. Well, actually, New Year's the night Eve, the day before New Year's Day. Hmm. And it gave me some really awkward hours here, and believe it or not, there. So let's see here. So, it's too bad that we couldn't do this program at later in the evening because I know you said you cannot
Well,
stay up late.
not really. It's a little tough.
I see. So we'll probably, I'm thinking possibly, I know this Friday is, but we could possibly do it later on Christmas Day if you got, or unless you got friends and family coming over, or we're going to visit them for Christmas.
Not really. I would. Yeah.
Because I was thinking about possibly doing it on Christmas Day around 6 p.m. our time here, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, I'd probably be all right with that.
All right, so we'll see how it goes on. We could put that on there. We could put that on the let's see here, what they call it there on the possible list there.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely there, because I know the night prior to that would not be okay there. So yeah. Plus,
Well, just send me a note on Skype when you're available.
yes, I
And
will.
the only time that I'll have a problem is during the day on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, because that's when I do the dialysis thing.
Correct. Yes, I understand well. All right, there. Okay, so I guess so. Would this be it for our episode tonight? There, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't have anything else for the three we talked about.
Well, I do.
I mean,
Well, let me conclude my top five Beatle albums there for the
the
because
albums.
albums. Yes, album. Remember, I'm more of an album guy than I am a song there, because
Right.
first and foremost, let me start off with Meet the Beatles because that was the one that really that my ma had, and that's when I started listening to a lot of times when I first discovered them, thanks to the cartoon series that we mentioned there. And
Right.
and of course, we wanted number four would have to be, of course, the Help soundtrack, the U.S. version, because of the songs on that album, and plus the instrumental scores that was included to go along with the movie. You know, I
Right.
I urge Capitol Records to re-release the U.S. version because some of the instrumental scores in there are pretty damn good, like the Bitter End, the different version of Hard Day's Night, which he titled Another Hard Day's Night, with a kind of a sitar type of Indian feel there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good song.
it is. Yeah. Now, number three would have to be, I guess, Revolver, because that's when the start of the experimental prog rock feel really started to take off on that record there.
Right.
Yes. And number two, it had to be the White Album because of the massive diversity on that album, ranging from country, honky tonk, 1920s and 30s feel to it, like songs like Honey Pie, My Guitar Gently Weeps, which, by the way, featured the only guest appearance from another artist on that track prior to Billy Preston appearing on the Let It Be album there. or the Let It Be, or the Get Back sessions that it was supposed to have been originally called. And that, of course, we know was Eric Clapton, George Harrison's best friend at that time. He did the
Right.
guitar solos on While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Of course, we got also the songs like the closing track, Good Night, which Ringo sings on. Songs like Revolution Number One, which was a slow version of Revolution, as we all know. And Back in the USSR, their parody of Back in the USA, their Chuck Berry tune there. A
Right.
lot of great songs on that album there. Happiness is a Warm Gun. You know, who would ever thought the Beatles would sing about a weapon?
Right.
And of course, we cannot forget, Revolution Number Nine.
Yeah. Boy, talk about out there. That song was definitely out
Way
there.
or piece, you could say, because it wasn't really a song, but it was like one of the most out there pieces out there that really, and it's also could say it's also had to be included because that we all know that piece helped contribute to the much speculated hoax that happened soon after that album came out, the Paul McCartney is dead hoax, which
Yeah.
took place, I guess, in '69, for what I understand.
I believe so.
Yeah, it was a Detroit DJ whose name I forgot who helped started that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, you're number one.
Oh yeah, Sergeant Pepper's Lonely
Of
Hearts
course.
Club Band. Because the first time I heard that was on a four-track cartridge that my dad owned, along with the U.S. version of Help, the soundtrack. And I was like blown away by the stuff and the styles of this album here, the arrangements, the songs, everything. I mean, like not only did this album spark the summer love, this album was to me the ultimate summer album. When the Beatles remember when the Beatles CDs got reissued, released to the UK versions in the 1987, I bought the cassette version because I didn't have a CD player at that time, and I was like, remember cruising around Gratiot Avenue in Roseville in the summertime, playing this album on my tape, and it was like the happiest vibe just came all over me, all over again, like I was a kid when I first heard that four track.
Well, I told you about the first time I heard it, right?
Yes, you have. You were like, what the heck? This is amazing, man.
Yeah, because consider that there was nothing like that at that time.
Absolutely, man. Of course, the Beach Boys pulled it off earlier with their record, Pet Sounds, and we all know that album was an inspiration to Sgt. Pepper. We all know
Yep,
that.
yep, yep. But that was just an interesting, yeah. Top five. What would I put? Let's see.
Hmm.
Boy, I hadn't really thought about that. I don't know. I think I'd do Abbey Road number five.
Yeah. You know what? Abbey Road's got to be included as well. I feel like an idiot, you know.
Let's see. Number four. Number four. Maybe Rubber Soul.
Yeah,
Mm,
not a bad one. That's a good one as well. I remember having that. And this is interesting. The one I had was an old disc, but it came out. It was on the Apple label. I guess what
yeah,
they did is they decided to
they redid it.
yeah,
Yeah,
to release those earlier Beatles albums on the Apple Records label, including
right.
Meet the Beatles and the Beatles' second album and Rubber Soul.
Yeah. And I guess my third one would be Revolver because, well, like you were talking about, it was their first exploration into stuff.
Yeah,
So I'd have to go with that. And
and
I'm
this.
trying to think if I want to put the White Album number two.
Mhm. Yes,
Yeah, I think so.
yes.
And number one for me is also Sergeant Pepper.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And keep in mind, Revolver is when we started noticing John Lennon wearing glasses all the 24/7 now, thanks to that
Yeah,
movie he did called How I Won the War. What the story was, it was directed by Richard Lester, and it took place in some sort of a war period, whether it's World War One or World War Two. I don't know if it was a drama or a comedy, but Lennon was given this pair of glasses to wear throughout the filming, and I guess when the filming was done, those glasses would remain on his face for the rest of his life.
hmm, Yeah. But I guess we can close this one off. And next time we get together, we're going to do 4 more top 10, 15s or whatever
Yes.
and finish that off. And then after that, we're going to do the Beatles.
Yep.
And we're going to do the Beatles. We'll do a top 15 songs of the early Beatles, pre Sgt. Pepper,
Yeah.
and then a top 15 Sgt. Pepper and beyond. And don't forget the singles that weren't on albums,
Oh, abs.
because I almost did.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I mentioned it to you.
That's right there. And I feel bad I wasn't able to come up with
That's okay.
come up with top 10 or top 15 lists of my own. But I've been busy at my work doing all these shifts and all these hours here. And by the time I get home, I was like, oh, I just want to relax, see what's going on here, lay down a little bit. Because a couple times I had to get up about 7 in the morning, to be at work at 8 or 9.
Yeah, well, it's okay because you're going to know more about doing the Beatles and the Stones and all of them when we do those. But the next one after these 4 that I'm going to do next time we get together, which if you get a chance, hey, you can do it. If not, it's okay. We'll just do it that way again.
That's good.
Because I got the impression that there were some songs that you were hearing me talk about that where you're going, I'm not really familiar with that song, which is good because that's the point of this whole thing. Is not only you, people that might be listening to this later, it gives them a chance to explore new music for them. It's obviously not new music, but anyway, I guess we're done for tonight.
Yep.
And we will do this. Just send me something on Skype, what your times are.
Yes.
You know what my schedule is, and we'll go with that.
Okay, definitely there. Definitely, I will let you know in the future there. I'll let you know what's going on here. Yeah, and I know we haven't been able to do any. As I mentioned, our apologies to everybody out there who will listen to our program. Because of my work schedule. We do try to be best to make it up as much as we can there.
Right.
Yeah. So that's I guess that's gonna do it for tonight there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You have yourselves a good one, Arknolia. And
Alrighty.
yeah, thanks everybody for watching. For myself and Arknolia, you guys have a good one.
Night.